A great day so far here in the Pyrenees. He was first over the top of the Col de Soulor after 50 kilometres, and he's been second over the top of the Col d'Aspin. Pascal Hervé just survived to stay first there, but now both the early breakaways have been caught.
Well, Brochard certainly trying to put a lot of pressure on Bjarne Riis today. They feel that there is a chink in the armour of the Dane, and this is where it is. It's in the mountains, which is why they're attacking like this.
And the new champion of Germany looking very, very cool indeed here. The same cannot be said of Bjarne Riis. He looks to be suffering in the mountains. We didn't really expect this.
I think a lot of riders taken by surprise. This mountain here, the Col de Val-Luron, is very steep indeed. In fact, only a few months ago, it was just a cattle track, and they've put down this special tarmac road just for the Tour de France.
A little bit of a back road, but it was here in 1991 where we first heard about Miguel Indurain as he laid the foundations for his first Tour victory. The stage also being won on that occasion by Claudio Chiappucci. That was his first ever big stage race victory.
Great to see in this group as well. Marco Pantani has come back after the terrible accidents he's had over his career. The first one in 1995, Milan-Torino, and even having to withdraw from the Tour of Italy. But the man suffering like a dog is still Cedric Vasseur. But Phil, he keeps coming back on the descent.
He yo-yos back on, you know. He's not completely out of that yellow jersey yet, if he can pull something rather special out before the finish. Now, Richard Virenque still annoying everybody. Quick acceleration by this little man who loves to antagonise anywhere, not just in the mountains. He rides rather, it reminds me of Claudio Chiappucci, the way he annoys everybody. But now, look at the cool way that Ullrich has sailed up to him, and the man not there, Paul, is Riis.
Well, Riis looked as if he was suffering an awful lot just a few moments ago. Can't respond to this attack. I think probably not panicking, realising that Virenque attacks and keeps lifting up the pace. And what Riis will try and do is, I think, come back slowly and not put himself into too much pressure. But you can see he's gone off the back of the group.
It's not good signs. This is Marco Pantani who's come up, though. Elefantino has made the contact and still looking pretty confident.
It's the first time we've really seen Bjarne Riis under pressure. He's looked so good in the Tour de France so far. He's been leading out the sprints, doing a lot of work on the flat stages, but now it looks as if he really can't match these top climbers in the Pyrenees.
Well, now the captain has taken over. He's passed his teammate, Laurent Brochard, so Richard Virenque perhaps going to start staking a claim to a fourth win in the King of the Mountains competition. The only man ahead of him is Brochard, who says he's minding the jersey for his team leader. Well, we're going to find out. But Pantani's got other ideas here. The top of Val-Laurent. Marco Pantani is flexing his legs, and Virenque will not like that, but he's lost it because he's gone over the top in second place. Ullrich third, Brochard is fourth, and we're waiting now for a time check on the whereabouts of Bjarne Riis. And Pantani isn't waiting.
Well, it's great to see Marco Pantani is finally back, because there, in fact, further down the course, 27 seconds to Bjarne Riis, and with him is Escartine. And I tell you what, Pantani taking a lot of risks, nearly losing it in that corner.
Well, he certainly is. That was a crazy right-hand turn there, but he wants to open the gaps now. They don't seem too concerned that they're towing young Jan Ullrich with them here, the revelation of the Tour last year. 2 minutes 49 seconds for the Maillot Jaune. He still has a chance of hanging on here. The Maillot Jaune and Cedric Vasseur, who was around about 2 minutes down at the start. He's still in with a real chance, and the team car knows it here. Roger Leger it was who's saying, look, keep on doing this and you could still keep that yellow jersey.
Well, it's a downhill finish, a very treacherous one too, and Vasseur has proved all along today that he can come back on the descent. He'll not make up the whole amount of that deficit, but he can certainly pull some of it back.
Well, Ullrich is the man who's the big danger. He's lying 2 minutes 58 behind Cedric Vasseur. So at this moment in time, Vasseur is doing just enough to keep the lead.
Richard Virenque now is the man starting to take the risks here in the corners, followed by Ullrich, and Pantani decided to take up third position now. But it's amazing how well this climber goes downhill, because normally a climber is not reputedly a good descender, but Virenque is certainly taking a lot of risks with 5 kilometres remaining.
And most of that 5 kilometres is downhill now to this new finish for the Tour de France. A beautiful little place it is too, tucked away in the valley with the Pyrenees all around it. And it's been a great day of racing today. The strongmen who felt they could win this Tour de France on the attack. And this man here, Laurent Brochard, he's been attacking all day. He's been dropped just now. He's coming back.
He's taken a lot of risks. He was only 23 seconds down at the top of the climb. And with a bit of luck, he'll get onto the back wheel of these three leaders.
And that, of course, is going to help Richard Virenque, because that means he's got a mate up here who will not help. Ullrich seems to be desperately trying to control this race at the front, almost as if he's trying to slow it down to await the arrival of Bjarne Riis.
I think that's why he keeps looking over his shoulders. He realises Bjarne Riis wasn't too far behind at the top of the climb there, and all he wants is for his team leader to come back up to him, which is why he's currently sitting in second position. But look at the speed of Brochard. He's got back right in the town, and I think there's around about 3 kilometres remaining.
Great bike riding by Brochard. He's come right back to 3 men he thought he'd seen the last of not very many kilometres ago. I think that was the 3 kilometres to go banner, Paul, and now a little kick uphill again. And Brochard has latched onto the back of Pantani and looks as though he's anxious to get right through onto the wheel of Ullrich.
Well, I think he wants to go to the front and work a little bit with Virenque, because he realises this is a chance for Richard Virenque to open up some time gaps over Bjarne Riis, and now Brochard is moving forward.
Moving forward, and is he going to go for it? He's come right over the top of Ullrich. Now, in fact, Virenque is in second wheel here. He's trying to back off the other two and give Brochard a chance.
Well, that's a great move by them, because if it does go down to this group going to the finish, I'd give all the chances to Jan Ullrich. He's certainly the fastest man here, and not too far behind Bjarne Riis. He's coming up with another Festina rider on his wheel. That's Laurent Dufault, and a little bit of help from the man in green, Fernando Escartin.
Well, I've still got him pegged at around 35 seconds, so he may have lost a few seconds on the way down, because Pantani and co did take 1 or 2 risks on that descent. But look at the gap now, and you know they're going to allow him to go.
Well, that's remarkable, Phil. You see Jan Ullrich playing the perfect teammate. He isn't chasing down Brochard because he realises if he does peg him back, then somebody else will attack. He wants to slow down Virenque, because all he wants is for Riis to come back. He's just sitting there, leaving it up to the Frenchman.
Well, if Laurent Brochard wins this, you'll have to admit he deserves it. But what a way to win a stage. The first day in the mountains, he looked to me as though he's finished about 10 kilometres ago. He's clawed his way back, as Riis has yet to do, and he looks like he's going clear. 2 men fighting for their lives now. Bjarne Riis, last year's Tour winner and the current Tour leader. And that man, Paul, is seconds away from retaining that yellow jersey, not losing it.
It's going to be very close for Cedric Vasseur, but the man really pushing himself to the limits now is this man, Laurent Brochard. I don't know where he's getting the force from, because he's been away all day. He's been over the mountains trying to keep the lead in the King of the Mountains competition just for 1 more day. And his teammate, Richard Virenque, at the front of that group there, just slowing them down.
But this rider has turned his day of defeat into one of success by just joining the leaders and immediately attacking. Laurent Brochard is going to get his first stage win ever in a Tour de France. A man who's having his best ever season, and this confirms it. Now the clock will start counting as the race continues to come in behind. Now, can Richard Virenque make it a 1-2 for Festina? It's certainly been their day, their first day in the Pyrenees, and Pantani's going to have a go at Virenque, but still, Jan Ullrich doesn't want to play. Second, though, for Virenque, third Pantani, and fourth Ullrich. Here comes Riis. His loss is 41 seconds on the leader today. So he's lost a bit of time. Abraham Olano is in this group as well. He's also conceding more than a minute, but it's the yellow jersey now. If he finishes inside 3 minutes and 10 seconds, he will keep the yellow jersey. It is going to be very close to Cedric Vasseur as Pascal Lino leads him towards the line, but he's done it, and he deservedly has kept that yellow jersey. What a great show of defiance. 2:57 down.
And confirmation of the win for Laurent Brochard ahead of his own teammate Richard Virenque by 14 seconds. But Marco Pantani, well, he's back in third. For the next stage in the Pyrenees, 252 kilometres, and Vasseur still in yellow.
It was a sensational start in the mountains for the Tour de France yesterday. It left us all wondering, what will day 2 in the Pyrenees bring? Will Cedric Vasseur still lead in Andorra tonight? Will Bjarne Riis lose more time? Or will Riis become second player to young teammate Jan Ullrich? Simply brilliant yesterday. Indeed, have we seen the return of Marco Pantani? Or is this the year of the Festina team? And will the Tour de France have a French winner in Richard Virenque? And you know, the big climb here to the top of this mountain above Andorra may give us the answer to some, if not all of those questions, because this is an absolute brute. It's an all-category climb. It's one that's rarely used in the Tour de France. It will cause a lot of riders a lot of pain. After that first day in the Pyrenees, though, this is the situation this morning. Cedric Vasseur keeping his yellow jersey by just 13 seconds over Jan Ullrich. Alano is up to 3rd, Ries is up to 4th, Virenque is up to 5th. The other big names, Laurent Brochard now up to 10th, Marco Pantani comes in the frame at 15th. So the riders now rolling away as they start stage number 10, heading now for the Arcalis in Andorra. We haven't been there since 1964. But the riders deciding themselves on the Col de Porte d'Aspet, Paul, to stop and pay homage to Fabio Casatelli.
Well, that's why they rode so slowly over the first few kilometres, and Fabio Casatelli's father and mother came down for this occasion as well, as did his wife Annalisa.
Casatelli dying in the race on the descent of the Porte d'Aspet in 1995. In fact, the riders climbing up the way the race had gone down in that fateful year. Well, in fact, Casatelli's father, riding all the way from Lake Como, took him something like 3 days, Paul. And right now, the race has started again, and not too much interest in getting on with the action either.
Well, not until they reach the Port d'Envillara, just on the outskirts of Andorra, a 36-kilometre climb. And once again, Phil, it's the Festina squad trying to put the pressure on Bjarne Ries.
Well, this is an amazing mountain. It's on big, wide roads, and it climbs so high. But again, Bjarne Ries is still in a little bit of trouble here, Paul, as we head up towards the Spanish frontiers, or rather the Andorran frontiers, the little republic, which is sandwiched between Spain and France. And Ries is coming back to the lead group, but he's not riding like his old self, is he?
Well, this is the second time he's been dropped there. He waited for the riders to group together at the front, slow down, and then he used all of his power to come back up. But over the last 2 days, he really has shown that he is weak in the mountains, which is why we're always seeing the blue and white jerseys of Festina at the front, putting the pressure on, attacking him when they can.
Here's Jan Ullrich. He's fallen back for a word with everybody because he certainly is not in any trouble. He's been down to his team car. He just pedals back up to this lead group as if they're out on a Sunday touring run.
Well, nice to see there, number 67, Kevin Livingstone, riding with the big riders of the Tour de France. A great climber, Kevin, riding his first Tour de France. And I wonder what he's thinking at the moment, looking at all these stars.
I hope he's not too starstruck because he's on one of the big climbs of this year's Tour. It's a very good road surface. It keeps on going. We've climbed through the gate already. We're now officially in Andorra. It's a beautiful little principality as the riders continue now very tightly packed. Laurent Dufault, Jan Ullrich, Richard Virenque off to the right. We've got Casagrande in that red jersey. This is a good group now, and these probably, Paul, are going to be the men who will take this Tour right into the Alps as well.
Oh, certainly just on the back there in the orange jersey, Peter Luttenberger. Another very good climber, Casagrande on the right there in the red jersey for Seiko. A revelation, I think, in this year's Tour de France. The Italian said he would be good, and he is confirming that he is.
Now, Virenque is trying to go for the King of the Mountains here, gathering enough points, and he gets easily over the top with hardly an effort from the rest. Dufault was second, Casagrande went over there in third place, but the rest were right on his wheel. Now it's a long, fast descent right down towards Andorre itself, but just before we get into the city, we swing right, and we've got 2 more climbs before the finish line.
Very difficult ones too, the Col d'Ordino, and then the final ascent up to the ski resort of Arcalis.
Tortuous descent just down the top of the Envilliere. 10 kilometres to go here now, and we've got the yellow jersey again in trouble, but he keeps on coming back. But I'm not so sure there's much more fight left in Cedric Vasseur. He survived by those 13 seconds, lucky for some yesterday, but now I think the second day in the Pyrenees has told their story. 10 kilometres to go, and more riders here on the course too. This is Fincato. He's just off the front, actually, Paul. He's coming back from the front group here.
He was in a leading group of riders of 4 or 5 who managed to get away on the descent there. And Cedric Vasseur himself trying to recuperate, trying to get back into the frame. But at the bottom of the climb of Arcalis, the control is all being made by the man in the white jersey, Jan Ullrich.
Well, he's constantly looked out for Bjarne Ries, and he still appears to be looking for him now. He's just started the last climb up to the finish. It's still a fair climb, and just as Cedric Vasseur has gone clear, in fact, what happened, Vasseur just got around them, but now that's Fincato behind, and they are just in front of Jan Ullrich, and Ullrich looks to me as though he can contain his enthusiasm no longer. Because Virenque is getting on terms, and he needs to, because Ullrich now is waiting for no one. He seems to have decided that Bjarne Ries has to be cut adrift.
Well, I think he got so fed up with the attacks that came coming from Virenque and from Dufault, he realised the best way to defend the lead is in fact to attack. So he's gone out there, he's blown by Cédric Vasseur in the yellow jersey, and now he's on his own with just one man in front. That's Jean-Philippe Daujois from the Mutual Seine-et-Marne.
Well, there's Fincato. He's going backwards, and here comes the little man with the big heart. Marco Pantani has realised it's time to try and get on terms. He's come right up to Richard Virenque on this final climb. The Danish flag on the right is looking a little bit tarnished right now because Ries is again in difficulty.
Well, Ries certainly cannot respond to any of these attacks. In fact, the attack originated at the bottom of the climb by Richard Virenque, currently in second position. But then all of a sudden, the man with the white jersey of the champion of Germany just accelerated and went away on his own. And now the last man in front of him, Jean-Philippe Daujois, and very soon I think he too will be history.
Well, he took the race to the rest, but I'm afraid he's paid the price. He took a good look across at Jan Ullrich, and if he took a good look at his face, he can see this man is not under pressure at all. Ullrich has waited as much as he could. Yesterday, he was definitely under the command of Bjarne Ries. Today, I guess he's realised that Ries hasn't quite got the legs of 1996. This young man could be racing to the yellow jersey now, and he's got to defend that for an awful long time if he wants to win the Tour de France.
Well, these two riders are supposed to be climbers. They must be able to do something against the onslaught of Jan Ullrich. The time gap at the moment, 25 seconds to these two riders, and in fact, Bjarne Ries is 45 seconds down on his own teammate, Jan Ullrich.
Well, here is a chance to have a look at Bjarne Ries. I wonder what he's thinking now because he's been dropped back into this rear group. He's just ahead of that bunch which is forming behind him. Gave the camera a big stare there. He won't be happy with the camera around him. Not in this situation. Virenque and Pantani, two great climbers. Pantani, I think, perhaps the better of the two, but they're making no impression at all on this rider. He's only won 2 races this year, Paul, the National Championship and a stage just recently in the Tour of Switzerland, and yet he seems to have timed his form to absolute perfection.
Well, I think he was just programmed for the Tour de France this year. He did nothing in the early part of the season, trained in Lanzarote, but one man who was riding exceptionally well until the last couple of days, Cédric Vasseur, in serious difficulty. But Phil, the power here of Jan Ullrich is quite remarkable. Rarely do you see a man sit so firmly in the saddle on a mountain pass and hold the bottom of the handlebars like that.
Well, he was the world champion back in 1993, and since then he's turned professional. He was kept out of the Tour until last year, and last year he came in and he finished second, and now he's looking for his first maillot jaune. There's Abraham Olano, also surprisingly so to us, having a little bit of difficulty here. He's not far from his homeland of Spain. He can expect support. He is now being watched over by Ries.
But look at the mask on Ries, the man from Denmark. He really is suffering. He must be going through all kinds of hell on his machine this afternoon. He knows he's got to try and recover this day in the Pyrenees if he wants to win again like he did last year. But Dufault himself suffering. Look at the face on Dufault. He really is pushing himself. But all the time, the man at the front, Ullrich, is time trialling.
And just look at that. It's the first time that I've seen this climb as well, and I must say it is a very difficult climb indeed. Well, I'm sure that Jan Ullrich, he may have come down looking at it in training, but he will never have raced up this climb, and he's showing it absolute disdain as he comes under 4 kilometres for the chase group. Remember that Virenque and Pantani are in front, and Ullrich is already heading up to the 3-kilometre banner.
I don't think happy with the fact that the cameras are there watching him fall away from the leaderboard. But these two men, both of them great climbers, both of them with 2 stage victories in the mountains to their credit, and Richard Virenque's both were in the Pyrenees.
Well, this has been a long, cruel day today, and by the time the riders get there, for many of them, they'll have been in the saddle for more than 8 hours. Ries being guarded now by Laurent Dufault, although I think both are just trying to match one another to get to the top of the mountain, because this man is putting time between them now. The last check we had on Bjarne Ries, Paul, is over 2.5 minutes.
Quite remarkable. In fact, Virenque and Pantani are at 55 seconds, and Francesco Casagrande, he's at 1:15. But you know, Jan Ullrich today is not only going to take the stage victory at the end of this stage, but also the yellow jersey.
And he's heading up towards the finish now for what has got to be his biggest ever victory. Yes, he's been a world amateur champion, but now he's climbed this mountain like the great Eddy Merckx of old, who was also a very young amateur world champion. And now this man seems to have just about everything. Second in the prologue time trial. He's never been caught by any of the crashes over that first opening week. Always positions himself well. And today he could not contain his enthusiasm anymore at all. He has gone for it and he has opened up the gaps.
Well, he's no longer a teammate. Now he will be the leader of Team Telekom. And at the end of this little straight here, Phil, he's going to be the first German to wear the yellow jersey since Klaus-Peter Thaler did in 1978.
And with all respect to Klaus-Peter, who is a really nice guy, he was never a potential winner of the Tour de France. But I think this man is. As he comes up towards the line, he's still sprinting for time, victory and yellow all at the same moment. And he comes up to the end of 252 kilometres. There's the clock. It is almost 8 hours. 7 hours and 46 minutes by the time he gets to the line. And Jan Ullrich is going to claim the race leader's yellow jersey. Of that we are quite confident now. This has been a superb show by the champion of Germany, who now becomes the German leader of the Tour de France. Pantani racing up the mountain. Can he take second? He was beaten by Virenque last time he tried it yesterday at the mountain top finish. But this time, maybe it'll be different. He's coming up towards the line. Virenque's not even going to attempt it. And the gap about 1 minute and 8 seconds. Further down, though, look at the gaps opening here. Bjarne Riis has dropped to Laurent Fignon. In fact, Fignon looks to me as though he's coming back, but not quick enough. 3:22. So there's stage 10 result. It takes some reading this. 1 minute and 8 to Pantani. These are huge time gaps of the quality of the great Jacques Anquetil. And the overall standings now, this is a big gap. Virenque second, but at 2:38 behind. Further down the list, men we used to talk about, like Laurent Jalabert, 24 minutes back. And so, the man in the maillot jaune is the leader of the Tour now. And for him, it's been one of the greatest moments of his life. Let's join Paul Sherwin now, who's with him.
Jan, it was an absolutely fantastic day for you today.
Yes, I'm very, very happy. I win this stage. This is a hard Pyrenees stage, and yeah, I'm very happy. I have the yellow jersey, and
I'm sure he is. And also another jersey change as we now head back into France. Richard Virenque is the new leader in the King of the Mountains. Well, here he is, the new superstar of the Tour de France, the man who is making all of the headlines in the newspapers here in Andorra this morning. Well, there's nothing new about the Telekom team being in charge at this stage of the Tour de France with 11 days to go, but there is something new in the man who is in that yellow jersey, Jan Ullrich. Now, who is the number one on the Telekom team? Is it Ullrich or is it Bjarne Riis, the defending Tour champion? Last night, the Telekom team had to make some decisions, so Gary Imlach was at their hotel.
From the way the mechanics had the bikes set up outside, it looked as though Telekom had two number ones. But manager Walter Godfrot quickly made it clear that from now on his team would be working for a single leader, and it wouldn't be Bjarne Riis.
Jan, il est sans discussion le plus fort du tour. Quand il est Pantani et Virenque, qui sont les deux meilleurs grimpeurs du tour, il a fait plus qu'une minute dans la dernière montée, alors il n'y a pas de discussion. Et dans l'équipe, maintenant, vous allez voir, c'est pas encore du temps, vous allez voir Bjarne Riis de parler un peu, mais il va mettre en service de Ullrich, à mon avis. Il n'y a pas de problème.
Perhaps not a problem for the team manager, but to be deposed so comprehensively by a teammate can't have been easy for Riis.
Je crois que Bjarne, il est un peu désolé de lui-même quand on gagne le tour une année avant. Alors aujourd'hui, c'est Jan qui prend la grande option pour gagner le tour. Alors, mais je crois comme équipier, il est content. C'est pas encore vu, mais c'est un homme qui est très sportif, très fair, qui accepte aussi quand il est battu.
Well, I wonder if he does. We're going to find out anyway as the tour goes on. 178 riders now leaving Andorra. They go out by the way they came in. The difference is, of course, this man is now in the maillot jaune, Jan Ullrich. The top of the Port d'Envalira awaits the riders, and then it's more or less with a few ripples all downhill to Perpignan. And again, as we come up towards the top of the climb, they've climbed it as a bunch, Paul. Not a wheel turned in anger, and over the top of the climb, we've had Richard Virenque.
Well, then the Rilers realising now that it is a downhill finish. And at the back of the main field, Maximilian Chandry, 81st overall, more than an hour behind the leader, Jan Ullrich.
Can you believe that? But there really hasn't been a stage for Max Chandry. He hasn't appeared in any of the breakaways yet. That's most unlike him. And Chris Bourbon, who was third as he came into the mountains just 3 days ago, has now dropped right away from the leaderboard, and he's very disappointed by that. The Col de Schule, across over this climb here, again Virenque is in the thick of the action, followed by Neil Stevens, his teammate. And in fact, the first 4 riders, Festina, they really are tying up the mountains competition.
They certainly are, but as we get a little bit closer to Perpignan, a lot of riders getting frisky with the possibility of a stage victory, and the fact that tomorrow is a day of rest. The riders will be travelling up to Saint-Etienne.
But after that, of course, it's the time trial, and then into the Alps with Alpe d'Huez itself, and a new finish at Courchevel. But the attack's now taking place here, the riders trying to shape up the day's racing. The scenery around here is absolutely stunning. Long, thin line of the peloton.
Once they got into the streets of Perpignan, Phil, this breakaway had got away. Sitting in third position is Laurent Fignon. The first position there with the yellow jersey of Polti is Sergei Uchikov, and the man in the middle is Carlo Finco.
Well, these are the remnants of a 9-man breakaway, which got clear. Museo was one of them, but he's dropped out of it now. 2 kilometres to go, and it looks as though the Telekom team are trying to get themselves back on terms. But they're a few seconds behind, and I don't think they're going to close this gap down. We've got Carlo Finco, Sergei Uchikov, Laurent Debian. It's Debian on the front at the moment. Now Uchikov goes through. Former stage winner of the Tour. In fact, he won at Revel at the expense of Lance Armstrong a couple of years ago. But Finco feels he's going to have to start the lead out. Well, he's gone a bit soon, and he's realised it. He's sat up. Now, Uchikov is my favourite, Paul.
Well, Uchikov is the fastest of these 3. Finco has never won a race in his whole career, but Laurent Debian, he's on the comeback trail after having a positive dope test last.